hello, this handsome man in front of me is studying karate for 40 years, and he pretends that he's not 30. I don't know how it's possible. This is a famous American writer. All of his books are interesting names. The Art of Being Indispensable at Work. All day I was studying this word, indispensable. I was trying to understand, I am indispensable. So it's intriguing book. Not everyone gets a trophy. It's okay to be the boss. All the names I think are very intriguing. My first question to you, Bruce, you said you study karate for many years. Exactly for how many years?
47 years. I started when I was 7 years old. And get this, I have the same teacher from when I was 7 years old. And for the last 6 years, he's lived with us. My house is next door to my office. And in my office, we also have a dojo and a place to practice karate. And we also have guest rooms here, you know. And my lifelong teacher, who's almost 80 years old, he's lived with us now for 6 years.
What is that love for karate? You have the 6 grade black belt, 6 degrees black belt. Are you in love with this karate, or what is that?
Karate is karate. They would say it's kara means empty, or also Chinese. Te means hand. Do means the way. Karate do is, when I was 7 years old, I think my mother took me down to the karate school because I was in danger of being picked on. I was weak and soft. And by the time I was in high school and college and then law school, I started to get pretty good at it. And I've done it for my whole life. It's a source of exercise. It's a source of meditation. And it also, it's fun to be good at fighting.
You put your teacher in your house. This is the thing that you trust him that much. You now I'm watching with my kids Kung Fu Panda, and I know that they're also very much obsessed with that. It's a kind of trust, or it's a kind of that it's your way of living, or you just wanted to help him?
It's a combination of things. Karate is an intergenerational art. I have students now who are younger. I also have students who are older, my own students. I just started teaching a 7-year-old, which is really fun. And but for me, it's just a hobby. I always say, some people, they have a karate school and it's for money. For me, it's just a passion. It's a hobby. It's a way of life. It's all those things. It's an art. You study mind, body, spirit. One of the things I've learned from karate is that you can get good at something just by practicing. It serves also as a model, a structure for understanding a lot of different things. When I get up on stage and speak, and I have all the moves, and it's like a block, punch, it's every line, every paragraph is like part of a routine, part of a kata, a prearranged series of movements.
I'm sorry, your name Bruce is like Bruce Lee. It's interesting. Maybe that's why you get in Karate Do. And I noticed that everything is related with number 7 in your life. 7, you start doing karate. And in one of your interview, you said 27, first time you were asked to speak on stage. So I think 7 is somehow you love 7, no?
I never thought of it that way, but I'm not into numerology. And, maybe you're seeing something that I haven't seen. So I've already learned something very important in this.
Let's go with like that. Absolutely. So my first question to you. Absolutely. So my first question to you. It was not the questions. It's just I was intrigued by you. You made a very good intrigue for me. The art of being indispensable at work. You mean that we should be people that are, that you cannot remove us, or are important at work, or the person without whom the company cannot live? What is that indispensable? I'm sorry, I'm Russian. I don't know exactly what's the meaning of indispensable.
Well, listen, I understand. You know, my experience with the Russian people is they usually understand more than they let on. So I'll tell you what I say. Here's what I have to say about that. You know, look, indispensable is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody's replaceable. But if you want to make yourself so valuable, if you want to set yourself apart, you have to be really good at what you do. You have to work really hard. You have to have a great attitude, but there's more to it. One of the things we ask people every single day in our interviews is, you know, who are the people who are most valuable to you? And they always talk about not just what the person does, but how they do it, right? Not just the work the person does, but what the person is like to work with and how the person treats other people. And so, you know, you have to be people who think of their working lives. You know, the first person I have to manage is myself. The second person I have to manage every day is my boss. The third person is anyone who has dinner with their family and talks about their boss and they're talking about me. And then it's everybody else. And so much of work and collaboration and success is about how we treat people, the promises we make to each other, what we ask of each other. And when we find that people say, oh, that person is indispensable to me, usually what they mean is not just the person's great at their job, not just the person works hard, not just the person has a great attitude, but the person is really thoughtful and respectful when he or she makes requests of me. And the person is really thoughtful and respectful when I make requests of him or her. And, you know, that they don't make promises they can't keep. That if I'm asking for something they don't already know how to do, they're honest about that. They say, I have to learn about that. If I
You
don't,
mean that they don't give promises that they cannot keep? You know, very often in the office, I have it because I'm director of the movies. When a person tells me, I will do it, I will do it, I will do that, and I will do that, and I will do number three, honestly, I don't believe. Because I think you can promise me everything. It sounds suspicious. And sometimes people can promise because they don't want to upset you. But when they overpromise, they will tell me, like recently, I asked one person, can you do for me good investigation? I don't want, because I don't want somebody guess who is this person. Can you do the investigation about that country? So when I go there, it's very easy for me to shoot. He said, yes, I will do about that country, about that. And I said, don't do about all countries, only about that. But he said, yes, but he did nothing, which I understood that he doesn't want to upset me, but he overpromised. Maybe I'm doing that also sometimes. Even, you know, I'm buying things which I don't need because I'm afraid to upset the person who is selling them. Because when I tell I will not buy, they're almost crying. What to do not to overpromise, not to upset other person?
yeah, I mean, one thing I always say is, look, you know, if you overpromise, then you're going to please the person in the moment, but then you're going to end up disappointing them. And not only that, but if you're overpromising to one person, you're probably overpromising to too many. Then what happens is you get overcommitted. And then, you know, you're juggling. And if you're juggling, you're always going to drop the ball. And when you're juggling and you drop the ball, the problem is you never decide which ball to drop, right? So you disappoint someone, and you're much better off deciding upfront in advance and being honest about what you can do and what you can't do. And so one of the things I always tell people is, if you can say to somebody, yes, I will do that. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to do it. And I know exactly when I'm going to do it. Then you're ready to say yes. Otherwise, you have to ask more questions. Maybe you say not yet. Maybe you say, let me get back to you. Maybe you say maybe. But when you say yes, you will be known for your yeses, right? Because yes is an opportunity to deliver value for others, right? What really makes you indispensable is if you say yes to me, I can take that to the bank. And if you say no to me, I know it's not that you're trying to get out of work. It's that there's a good reason for you to say no. And that trust is so high on the list. What makes somebody really indispensable is trust. If they tell you, yes, this is going to be done, you can take it to the bank. That might be the single most important element of being indispensable.
So, in Japanese culture, since I was working as a diplomat in Tokyo and I speak Japanese, and I understand why you choose karate do, because it's the whole philosophy behind this and on only moving your legs and hands. And I adore Bruce Lee, absolutely. Since I'm small, I was.
Wakarimashita.
You like Bruce Lee?
わかります。わかります。
わかります。すご
I
く
understand.
素晴らしい人ですね、そのブルース・リー。
少し。
少ししかできます。けれども、I want to say that in Japanese, normally they don't say no. Not to upset the person, but no is different way. You will ask me, Olga, will you go with me to the movies? I will say yes, of course, after 2 weeks. And in this way, you don't, as in Japanese, they say kao ushinao, to lose your face. You're not losing your face. You're not feeling awkward. You are doing that. So that is what you're talking about. Not to say no, but it's no in a soft way.
Yeah, but I think it's not just how to say no. I think it's when to say no. That in collaborative relationships, people want to know that if you say no, you've said no for a very good reason. The timing was right. It's something you cannot accomplish. It's something you're not allowed to accomplish. Or it's something you shouldn't do. So you might say, well, gee, that's not my specialty. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to go really learn about that. I will go learn about that, right? Some people say, oh, you should always raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yep, I'll do that. But if you always raise your hand, then what you do is you get people to rely on you. And if somebody's relying on you and they're disappointed, mark my words, they will not go to you again. And so if you're trying to build your reputation is for the long haul. Reputation is for the long haul. But it is built one decision at a time, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time.
Absolutely. It goes without saying. Definitely, Bruce. I want to know from your experience, since you are advising CEOs, the head of big corporations, and they're working with you for many years, and you have a very good feedback from them on LinkedIn, on your speaking portfolio. Nowadays, when there is COVID times and a lot of things start being on computers and like that, do you think that even some offices that cannot meet that often as before, this indispensable thing, it is still working, or it's the book that you wrote already old?
I think it's more important than ever. I wrote this book. I finished it just before COVID. And it came out just in the early stages of the pandemic. And people were saying to me, did you write this just for the pandemic? Right? It's like rules of engagement, right? So if people were feeling like there was so much uncertainty and we're all overcommitted and we're all scrambling, trying to take care of ourselves and take care of each other, what this book is meant to be is sort of a rules of engagement. How should you conduct yourself and navigate your collaboration relationships? How do you manage yourself? How do you manage your boss? How do you manage your people? How do you manage your colleagues, your vendors, your customers? How do you make sure, right, that even if you don't have authority in a relationship, you have influence, that other people want to work with you? And they want you to want to work with them, that you make the right decisions for the right reasons, that when somebody comes to you with a request, you know how to understand what are they really asking. You know, when somebody comes to you with a request, they're looking to you to add value. They're giving you a chance to add value. I always tell people the first thing you should do is ask questions and conspicuously take notes, right? So and if you're in person with somebody, well, they can smell you, right? They can just not just see you and hear you, they can smell you, right? So we're missing that data. You can't smell, you can't touch, you can't taste each other, right? Now you shouldn't be doing that at work anyway. But
I can imagine if you will start doing it in some countries, it can end, you can end up, even I don't want to pronounce this word.
yeah, you'll get canceled.
You know,
You're
yeah.
going to get canceled. But you know, when somebody starts talking to you, you start taking notes and asking questions. And then that shows respect for them and their need. And then and so then they know when you say yes, you've got a plan of action. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's when I'm going to do it. But if you say not yet, or hey, in 2 weeks, right? Maybe in 2 weeks, you say, gee, let me look and see let me come back to you with a good answer. But you always respond respectfully with your no or with your yes. And if it's not something that's your area of expertise, you say, hey, let me go look into this.
But
Right?
you think people, let's say in United States, who are very open and who are very friendly, they will not be offended by that? They will not say, Bruce, what are you talking about? Tell me yes or no. What you're going around like a fish?
Well, you know, what you don't want to do is make promises you can't keep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're playing the long game, if you want other people to look at you and say how you conduct yourself, it's also true that, you know, if you engage in a dialogue, any person who wants to rely on you, any person upon whom you want to rely, if you engage that person in a regular ongoing dialogue, right? So that it's not a one-time conversation. It's not just a, you know, they come to you and say, you know, that's how this interaction went. But you keep talking. You keep talking and maybe you start planning for, hey, here's how I can help you. Here's how I can help you.
You should be also sincere. It's not a game. It's not a theater. You just really thinking. You're just not taking notes for notes. You're really thinking how I can be of service, how I can be useful to that person, how we can collaborate. And this is the era of collaboration. When Olga, when Bruce, one is at the Kazakhstan in the moment, you are in United States, and we can think together how we can collaborate, how we can be helpful to each other, how we can merge our audiences, how for me as a director of the movies, I can be helpful to you. For you as a person who is a speaker, author, who is located in US, you will think, Olga, how can I be helpful to Hidden Hero platform? So it's a thing when we think together. It's not about one person who is making notes. And I absolutely agree with you that now it's the era of merging. Collaboration. I just came back from Expo in Dubai, where all the countries and all pavilions, it's Expo 2020. We call it 2020, but actually it's Expo 2021. It was delayed for 1 year because of the COVID. But it's very nice to see how Saudi Arabia and India and USA and Poland and Russia and Ukraine all together. There is no politics in such events like that. So I think this is the future of the era. Even the way that we communicate like this, that is the thing. My last question to you, Bruce, is this thing about listening to person, not over committing, being very attentive, to your person who is talking to you, we can use that in the family relationship, or it is only good, in your opinion, in the office workplace?
This is about people. It's about showing up with true candor, showing up with true service mindset. It's about treating other people, approaching other people in terms of the value you have to offer them. I tell people, it's not just a way of conducting yourself. It's a way of thinking about relationships, that every interaction you have, what is the value you're adding? And you're adding, what you're doing is protecting your own comfort and feelings. If you make promises you can't keep, you're getting rid of the conversation quickly. But if you really are thoughtful about other people relying on you and the value you add, right? This is a way of conducting yourself in every interaction. I mean, look, in your family, they can't fire you, right? So you want to show up as the person who other people know, right? If they ask you, they know they're going to be treated with respect. Their needs are going to be treated with respect. You're going to be wanting to help them and trying to help them. And if you're not the one who can execute on their need, you're going to be honest with them about that.
So it's a lot, all your books and all your philosophy, it's a lot about honesty, as I know.
Candor, insight, transparency, honesty, and look, honesty. There are a couple of different components of honesty, right? One is, what do you mean, right? And the second is, how do you communicate that with structure and substance, and how do you make sure that someone else understands? Because you might have the greatest intention of being honest in your communication. But if you don't do the work of making sure you're understood, then you're not completing the value add of honesty.
You mean that this person, you can be not understood because of the language or because of the culture, or just because you use different words your opponent doesn't understand? What do you mean? Not understand?
All of the above. Like if you wiggle around like a fish, if you try to be coy, or if you communicate in a way that is meant to protect people's feelings or your own feelings, that's why I say it's about when to say no, not how to say no. It's not about sugarcoating your communication. It's about making sure that you have the right intention. And the intention is to add value to others. You want to be valuable? If you're super selfish, what you want is to be valuable. Well, value is in the eye of the beholder. Who are you going to be valuable to? You got to be valuable to other people. If you want to be consistently valuable to other people, you have to make sure that you are communicating clearly. So of course, if I'm speaking with somebody, if I'm in Dubai and I'm speaking with somebody in Tajikistan, I might have to fly over there and speak directly to them, right? In order to be understood. So it can be language, it can be culture. But the reality is that you can speak the same language and still be terribly misunderstood.
It goes without saying, because even in the family life, very often husband and wife, they don't understand each other. And I think it's a very big key when you can talk to your loved one, to your kids, even to your kids. Because when they are crying or when they want something, just to find out what is behind this cry. Maybe they're just attracting attention because something is bothering them, but don't punish them because you don't. First try to listen and understand. It goes definitely without saying. I enjoyed very much our talk. And what Bruce Tulgan, if we want to buy this book, The Art of Being Indispensable at Work, I hope we can do it on Amazon. Yes.
You can go to Amazon for sure. And Olga, get this. Want to hear some good news? So my wife's new book came out this week. Her last name is Applegate. I kept my maiden name. So we have different last names. But her book is called Madam, and her book just came out also.
Her book is called Madam.
M-A-D-A-M, Madam. It's a biography of a 1920s era brothel keeper in the Roaring 20s in New York City. She's getting great attention, and it's right. Last night it was number 20 on Amazon.
Oh, congratulations. Tell me, please,
Thanks.
congratulations to your wife. I'm very happy for her. Why
I
you
appreciate
support your wife that much?
I mean, well, you probably know about me that I believe firmly in following a strict chain of command, and she is my commanding officer.
This is actually very cute. Bruce, this is very cute to know. Very nice to know you. I wish best success to you, to your family, and stay that young and fit and continue to giving that positive energy with this wonderful Hollywood smile. It's big.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Listen, you fit right in. You'd fit right into Hollywood. I think you know that.
Thank you so much.